I think it's good when you fail and when you don't do the right thing, and so to be honest, I wouldn't change anything. For sure, I made some mistakes.
In this episode of Behind the Beat, we are talking to the big cat of Suara, Coyu himself. He runs the brand Suara, which entails such things as a record label, a clothing brand in Barcelona, which also has a store in Barcelona, and a charity foundation rescuing cats and giving them a new home. So he's a very busy man, which is why I'm even more excited that he actually took the time to have a chat with me and answer a few of my questions, which the lack of time for the conversations is also one of the reasons why we didn't really get halfway through my questions, and why we didn't actually get to talk a whole lot about cats. So I'm sorry for that, but I really do think that the conversation was still a very, very good one, and he made a lot of good points. Instead, we spoke about how he got started in music, his new and debut album, You Don't Know, and we spoke about sound design, writer's block, and what else did we talk about? Yeah, his philosophy in the studio, and the philosophy of his producer and DJ career. My chat with Coyu was recorded at Box 54, the cocktail bar right next to Culture Box, which is why the audio quality might be a little bit worse than it normally is. But I still think Coyu made a lot of good points, so I think you should definitely suffer through that horrible audio quality. A final thing before we start, I really urge you to like and subscribe and support in any which way you decide. You can write us a review over on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube, like us on Facebook, share this content with your mom if she's into electronic music. Whichever way you decide to support us, I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Let's get to it. A conversation with the big cat of Suara, Coyu, is coming up. You're listening to Nim Sounds Behind the Beat. My name is Kasper and this is the show that aspires to inspire electronic musicians to create music, to do better marketing, and gain an overall better understanding of how the music industry works. We talk to people who influence the scene and try to gain an insight into how they work and how they have succeeded. Hopefully, by the end of this show, you will have learned a few tricks of the trade that you can implement to help you gain success in your music career. This is Behind the Beat by Nim Sound. My name is Kasper and I bid you a very warm welcome. You just flew in from Barcelona?
Yeah.
And that's where you grew up?
Yeah. So I'm born and based in Barcelona. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you get into electronic music in Barcelona?
Radio and internet. I was 15 when I got internet at home. My mom bought me a computer, so yeah, we got internet. So I started to look through musical forums.
Yeah.
And at the same time, at that time, radio, you could find some quality stuff. Even the mainstream electronic music was quite good. Nowadays mainstream means shit, but in the past it was not. You could have a quality house, big room music on the radio. Not anymore, and that's a shame. So yeah, I grew up with the radio, and also music forums and trying to dig around. And then when I was 18, I started to buy my first records. I love it to spend time on record shops, and that's the beginning of my career, or my life as a raver and clubber.
Yeah, and that's how you got into DJing as well.
Yeah. When I was 18, I was studying and working at the same time because I had no money, and I wanted to buy turntables and no mixer.
Yeah.
So I worked for 6 months, 7 hours per day, and at the same time I was studying political science. But thanks to that, I got some money to buy the turntables and the mixer and buy some records every month. Also, I started working as a musical journalist, and I was studying political science, but I always liked journalism. So I started to make interviews and articles about music, and in a national magazine, actually the most important one in Spain. It was called Tracks, and thanks to that, I got into many other genres, not only the ones that I was listening at that time. I discovered a lot of music, a lot of artists. I had the chance to interview many artists, from Chris Living to David Guetta, so almost all of them. And also, they pay me all those records that I was buying. I was crazy about the idea to have a big vinyl collection, and at that time I was a big vinyl collector. Not anymore, because after almost 7-8 years playing on vinyl, I decided to switch to laptop. And for the last almost 10 years I'm playing with laptop, not vinyl anymore.
So you always been it seemed like it always been a busy man.
Yes.
Or at least staying very active.
Well, the thing is that I'm always trying to be close to the music. I have been trying to be close to the industry. I did my own radio show. I was working as a musical journalist. I work as a booking agent. I work like a public relation on the streets, just giving away flyers to the people to get into the clubs. I work as a runner, driving the DJs from the airport to the hotel, and from the hotel to the venue. I did everything that was on my hands to be surrounded by artists and musicians and people who was living the dream, because for me working on the music industry was a big dream. So I work as a promoter, making my own parties, resident DJ. It was I love the music. I still love music for sure. But
that shows, man.
So I did everything. It was in my power to be what I wanted to be.
Yeah. When was this, like, time frame wise, just to let the listener know, was this in the 90s or early 2000s?
No, I'm 34. So
you're 34?
I born in 1985.
Yeah.
So it was 2003, 2004. Yeah.
Okay. So, doing all of this, when did you have time to like begin produce music? Like, how did you get into like the whole production game?
Well,
because DJing was one thing,
At the beginning I was jazz DJ. Well, I was DJ, and at the same time I had the radio show, and I was working as a booking agent. And then I realized that I had to do my own music, because you can be a very good DJ, but it's very difficult to get out from your place, from your city or from your country, play abroad and be an international name, playing only records. So you have to do something else, and you have to make your own records, good ones. So that's when I realized that I have to do my own music to spend time on the studio. At that time I had a very good friends who were at the same moment, that were like trying to be someone in the industry. They were also DJs, but at the same time were starting to make music. I make some collaborations. I worked with them quite closely, and we explored. We had a very good moment in the around 10 years ago, 2009, 2010. me, Edwin Bernal, and Uner, there were a lot of Spanish artists out there making a lot of noise. We released music on all the big labels, like at that moment, like Dynamic or Sabet or Joris Forn's label, Rejected, or all of them, Cadenza, or all of the Cocoon, all the beat labels at that moment.
From when you decided to produce music?
Yeah, my first record came out in 2008, so it was around that time.
Yeah. Like, how long was your journey from when you decided, like, I want to produce music to when you actually released a track?
Around a year.
Around a year?
Yeah.
Oh, that's super fast, yeah.
Well, I think that my life went quite fast. When I was 18, I was already working in the biggest Spanish dance magazine. I was making interviews to big stars, and a couple of years after, I was a booking agent with 20 years old. I mean, it's quite
okay.
So I was working with people in the 30s and the 40s, and I was his agent. So that's not really common, I guess. Now I have more experience, and I have more knowledge. At that time, it was just emotion. It was just energy, but it was difficult to canalize, all those feelings. And now that I'm more mature and I know how it works, I can express myself how I want. But it was very interesting. It was very interesting. Be the kid of the industry,
And I mean, doing all of the whole promotion, handing out flyers, and being a booking agent before that as well. I mean, that must have been. You've already like sort of got your foot in the door a little bit, so that must have propelled your career a little bit faster. I mean,
I was trying to knock the door, try to get noticed by someone.
So, when you sit down and produce, like, what do you produce on? You produce. You told me right before we turned on.
Yeah, I produce with Ableton.
Yeah, you produce with Ableton, and you don't use any outboard gear.
Full software.
Outboard gear like synthesizers and drum machines.
No, it's full software.
It's full software.
Yeah,
okay.
With plugins but not many plugins neither. As I told you before, I'm very minimalistic. I try. Actually, I'm working almost in the same way that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Probably not with the same equipment I have now. Very powerful iMac, and I work pretty similar to. I to be honest, I didn't do too much research because as a producer, I like to use the same equipment and trying to reach the maximum
to reach like the limit, like to push the boundary of the equipment you have.
Yeah. So I'm not changing the equipment all the time.
No.
Even the speakers, they have the same speakers for 8 years. They are very good. So, and they were very expensive. So I don't have to change it. But I know people who are changing equipment all the time, and they are learning how to use it. And to be honest, I don't know. I don't think I'm a lazy guy, but I think I have no time to be learning
new
all
stuff.
the time because I'm touring every weekend, and I'm not in the studio all the time. So when I'm in the studio, I try to be fast and try to maximize my time. Because I have other things to do, with the store, with the foundation, and trying to have a social life. I don't see my mom very often, but I
you gotta see her sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's quite amazing because, like, I'm one of those I really easily get sold on like. Well, I should totally buy this sample pack. And then when I buy the sample pack, like 7 days later, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot for buying this sample pack.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't need this. You should just push the boundary of whatever you have.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of fascinates me, because your album You Don't Know, which is that's your debut album, right?
Yeah. It came out last month, and it's my debut album. Yeah.
That's very diverse in its sound.
Yeah, it is.
Like how do you go about like pushing the boundaries of like the equipment you have? How do you stay creative?
Because the creativity is here. It's not in the equipment.
No. That's
I mean, nowadays you don't need that much to make music.
No.
Actually, even in the 80s, where you have a very shitty equipment, and it was very difficult to use it, people made amazing music.
Yeah.
So nowadays that everything is easy and fast, you don't need that much for making good music. You need to know your equipment, and you need to know how it works properly, and that's all. The rest is here.
Yeah.
It's like what I want to do, or sometimes it's not even, you don't ask yourself what you want to do. It's like you sit on the studio, you drink a coffee, and then
it just happens.
Yeah, it's like I'm a very eclectic guy in terms of music. I love many genres, and I think the album, you can see that on the album.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't know, because even if I'm a techno DJ, or I was a house or tech house DJ in the past, I was like a trip hop or drum and bass or even pop music. So in the album there is garage, there is drill and bass. There are many genres. But what I like about the album is that I can express myself in the way that an EP or some singles cannot offer you, and that's why I guess it took me so much time, because I started with this project in 2012. Some of the tracks were made in 7 years ago.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
awesome. So actually there are more tracks made in this earlier period from 2012 to 2014 than in the last years. I made like, I don't know, 80 tracks. So this was a kind of selection of all the tracks that I made, and I didn't think that they were good for an EP. For sure there are some techno and house tracks, and actually there are the ones that are okay, but I don't love it that much, because for me an album is something else. It's the way an artist can express, is the way that an artist can say, okay, this is the real me, you know.
Yeah.
This is the real Coyu. You know, the grooves, you know, the beats that I used to do, the kind of music that I used to release, but this is the Coyu that you cannot see every day, and that's why for me an album is so special.
Yeah.
And also I don't like the way many artists are treating albums right now. I mean, for sure, they all have my respect, but for me, an album it's not a bunch of singles. It's express yourself to the max. It's like offer what don't used to offer every day. You know. That's why I'm saying that, because many DJs release an album with 8, 10, 12 tracks that they sound all the same, and they are the same than all the tracks that they released 6 months before, or in an EP or in a single. For sure there are some house or techno tracks that could be closer to what I did in the past, or closer to what I can do in the future, but there are others that are very unique. It's gonna be very difficult to see another Coyu drum and bass track.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of artists these days, I think, treat the album as sort of a. It sounds more like a compilation of tracks.
It is.
Whereas I see the You Don't Know album as a lot more cohesive and like telling a story from start to end. So you sort of have to press play on track 1 and listen to the final track as well to get the whole point.
That's what I try. This is what I try to do.
Yeah.
For me, it's like a journey.
Yeah, that's how I remember like albums when I grew up as well.
Yeah,
I mean when it was on CDs or on vinyl as well.
Many people say that this album is very 90s.
Yeah.
Because I'm from the 80s, but I grew up in the 90s. The first music that I listened to when I was a kid, it was Tune Limited or Technotronic, Euro dance or that kind of funky dance stuff. And then Prodigy and the Chemical Brothers and Massive Attack movie. So I try to emulate. I try to. Well, actually, I never thought about I want to do this. It just came out.
Happened.
It just happened. Yeah, but I guess like I'm a kid from the 90s. It just happened, and
growing up listening to Moby, you just said it. How was it working with Moby then?
Well, yeah, I'm a super big fan of Moby. Play and 18 are my favorite albums ever. So he's my favorite artist ever.
Do you ever get starstruck still?
Which one?
Do you get starstruck? Do you get like, oh my God, that's Moby?
Well, the first time I had communication with him, it was like I was shocked. It was on Twitter. He posted something like, I love this track, and this track was one of my tracks. So I read it, like, fuck, he's liking my track. So I said, okay, let's try to say something nice. I said, thanks, I'm a big fan of you, for sure. And if anytime you want to do something together, so it would be fantastic. So it was in 2015 or 14, I don't remember. So then his management got in touch with my manager, and I made a remix for him, and it was quite successful. So he made that remix for my label, for Suara, in exchange. Then he asked me for another remix, and I did. And then at that time, he sent me some stamps, some projects for working together in an EP. So I tried to work on it, but it didn't work out very well. I mean, it was okay, but I didn't feel it was like if I release a track with Moby, it has to be a good one,
Yeah.
I think I could have take advantage of that and say, okay, whatever I'm gonna release, it's just a Movie and Coyu track, so even if it's a shit track, it's gonna sell well because it's Movie, but that's not the way it worked for me. So I decided to reject those projects, and when I was working on the album last year, at the end of the year, when the album it was almost finished, like 95% finished, even mastered, and it was finished. So I was checking all projects on Ableton, and I found one of the projects that I was working 3-4 years ago with Moy, and I said, let's try to do some changes. Actually, it was a 4/4 track that project. Then I played with some breaks, and then I changed a little bit the bass line, and I add some things, and this is starting to sound good.
Yeah.
And then I worked a couple of days more on it, and at the end of the day, I think it's one of the most interesting tracks of the album. But it was very organic. I was not looking on it. Movie wasn't part of the album. I didn't. For sure, for me, it's incredible to have Movie on the album, but I didn't want to. It was just happened.
It wasn't intentional.
No, at all. I was just randomly looking at all projects, and I found that I changed a little some things, and magically changed the whole vibe of the track, and now it's a very nice track, I think.
I mean, that's the way the creative spark works, in a sense. I mean, when you sit down and produce, are you sort of an intentional producer? Like, do you sit down, like, do you have the music in your head and then you like try to get it out, or do you just sit down with a cup of coffee and like try to hit the keys on the
It
keyboard?
depends.
And
Sometimes I'm more focused on it, and I say, okay, I have to make some music, or I have to make this remix, or sometimes if I have no time and I feel that I'm inspired enough, I just play. I just spend time in the studio and see what happens. And that's the way I like to work. Sometimes you cannot spend just time and see what happens. You have to focus on it, and you have to work and finish the project. But if you have no time, for sure, it's very fun to just. That's why I have hundreds of unfinished tracks. So, but the good thing about those unfinished projects is that you can use those projects in the future. Sometimes I have not very inspired, and I look on for other projects, and I got maybe a bass line or a vocal or something that gets me I know of inspiration to go farther and finish the project that I was working on.
That's funny that you're mentioning that, because I actually got a question that is like, you must have experienced writer's block in some way or shape or form.
Sure.
How do you overcome writer's block? Like, do you have any tips?
When I feel that I'm not inspired, I don't work in the studio, and it can be 1 week or 5 months.
1 week or 5 months. Okay,
I mean, sometimes, for example, now I feel that I'm very inspired. So I try to be as much in the studio as I can. If I'm in a moment of my life that I feel that I'm not inspired enough, I'm not in the studio.
Then you're not in the studio.
No.
Okay.
And for example, the working on the album, it was it took me a lot of energy. It took me a lot of time. So after finishing the album, I took 3, 4, 5 months out. And now that the album came out, and now I'm getting the first feedback reviews, I thought that it was the right moment to come back to the studio and to start to make new music, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I think that when you get old, you get more experience and knowledge. You understand better your body and your mind, and the approach that your approach with the studio is different than when you are in your 20s and you want to make music no matter what, even if you are in a good or bad moment, or you are inspired or not.
All right, there's this tradition on this podcast that I ask 3 quick questions at the very end, and you're gonna try to answer them as quickly as you can.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Okay. I'm very quick making music, but I'm not that quick answering. So let's see how it works.
Well, I mean, Juma's sound system and Christian Nielsen wasn't too fast at all, so it's all good. The first one is, what is your favorite plugin or gear at the moment? Do you have any recommendations?
Well, I work a lot with a plugin from Complete.
Complete?
Yeah, it's called Guitar Rig.
Yeah.
It's very, very common, but I think not many people use it.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been on Complete since the very beginning, I used to I love Complete because it gives you like a wide range of plugins, and Guitar Rig, it's for me it's great for I use it for the effects.
The effects?
Yeah, because it's actually for guitars.
Yeah.
But I use it on synthesizers or even on vocals or in many, even on hi-hats. If I want to give it like something special to that hi-hat, I use Guitar Rig. So it's like my.
Is it like a pedal board?
No. They have amps. They have like a reverb and delay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
Does it cost anything?
No, well, you buy the
complete package. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
True. The next question is, and this is kind of a tough one. What did you wish you knew back when you first got started in the music industry? If you could go back and slap yourself in the head and say, you need to know this, man.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
To be honest, I love my ride. I love the way I have been walking in this business, and I think it's good when you fail and when you don't do the right thing, and so to be honest, I wouldn't change anything.
No?
For sure, I made some mistakes, and I don't know. Maybe when I got this big hit of Violent in 2009, my life changed very fast. You know, I was a kid, and well, I was 23, so I was not that young, but
still a young man. Yeah.
I wasn't a man, proper man. Yeah. So I was a kid from a poor neighborhood, and then I started to play in, I don't know, everywhere in the world, like everywhere, like I don't know, Israel, Panama, South Korea, everywhere. So I think that my ego controlled me in some way that I didn't like when I realized that it wasn't really me who was acting like that. So probably, yeah, I will change that, but I think that was very positive for me because it helped me to be who really I am now, you know, and it but I guess that it's difficult when you are no one, like completely no one, just a local DJ, and then in terms of months you start to play in Toronto, in Sao Paulo, and people go to your shows to see you and to touch you, and they are happy to be with you, and 6 months before you were no one, you know, it's like it changed your life completely, and I guess it's difficult to control yourself, to control all those emotions, and so yeah, I guess that was not it was good because it helped me to be who I really want to be, but at the same time it was tough to control all of those feelings, you know.
Yeah, that must have been.
I was
fucking crazy.
No, I was overwhelming.
Overwhelming. Yeah, that's. But I like the advice of just, you know, embracing your mistakes and embracing the ride, and just go along with it and learn from your mistakes. I like that.
Yeah.
That's.
I think it's good to fail. It's good to fail.
Yeah, as long as you learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely, for sure.
I mean, that's some nice advice. I'll take that. I'll write that down. And then actually the next question, sort of related but not really. What's the best piece of advice you have ever been given? And this doesn't have to be music related. This can be any advice.
Well, in this business and life, I think that you have to be persistent. Yeah, you have to be not only work hard, but work hard every fucking day.
Yeah.
You know, and every fucking month and every fucking year, and
You certainly live by it.
no one know, and don't let no one try to be yourself and try to work as much hard as you can, but every fucking day, because this business is very hard. This world is a mess. So we live hard moments, and it's very important to be yourself and to work all the time. Not say, okay, now I reached my goal, so that's okay. No, because many people is waiting for you to see you down and take your position, and so it's persistence. For me, is the key of this business. Work all the time and try to work well.
Not just work for the sake of working, but working like
exactly.
That's very important advice, I think. Or at least,
it is, because some people take things for granted, you know.
Once you reach the top, it's easy to just like begin to relax, I assume.
And actually, when you reach the top, then you see that there is like a higher top, you know. And then a higher one, and so
it's kind of like Sisyphus. Like
So it's all about, for me, consistency and persistence, and
Oh, that's nice. All right. I think actually you are about to. You have to go in and set up your gear in the club. We're gonna wrap this up. I still have a ton of questions.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to come to Barcelona one day and ask you those.
If not, you can. I can answer the question by WhatsApp, or I can record it if you want, or you can.
But it's also a bad excuse for me to just go to a warmer climate. Actually.
Sure, absolutely, for sure.
And see the Suara store as well, and meet some cats.
For sure, you have to. Yeah, we have a warmer weather there. And now it's a little bit colder, but when. For us, cold means 20 degrees. You know?
Yeah. See, as a Dane, I'm like, as soon as it hits like 15 degrees, I'm like, it's high summer. I'm all in. Where can people hook up with you online? Like
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. You can find me everywhere. So it's just Coyu Music.
Yeah, and we're of course gonna link to everything in like the description. Are you ever in the clothing store? Are you ever down there?
Sometimes.
Just for the fans who wanna like.
No, well, the Suara store. We have to like Suara store and the Cat House. The Suara Foundation is in the same building. Yeah. So downstairs we have the fashion store, and upstairs we have the Cat House. So I used to be in the Cat House. I prefer to be surrounded by cats, not by clothes.
Who doesn't? All right. Thank you so much once again for taking the time. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I really admire Coyu for what he's doing, both musically and as an entrepreneur. It's cool to see him have success with his brand Suara, as I think it takes quite a lot of self-confidence and guts to create such a different brand within the electronic music industry. So big ups to Coyu for doing that and doing his own thing. Before we part ways, I'd just like to urge you once again to like and subscribe on whichever platform you're currently listening or watching this on. Reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Just type in like Nim Sound and you'll find us. I mean, we'd love to hear what you think of this show and what we can do better in the future. That's it for today. My name is Kasper Stubb, and don't forget to keep at it and stay passionate. I will see you when I see you. Bye.